A senior leader of the government who travels all over this great nation. Malcolm not only has an extraordinary background and has held a number of portfolios, but right now is probably holding the one of greatest interest to young Australians, and that's information technology and the NBN in particular. But today is a chance to have an even broader discussion about what it's like in public life, how Malcolm you potentially view Brisbane's role in the future of Australia. And you're seeing all this news about changes in the economy, aren't you? New jobs being created, uncertainty as global events shape our future. So I thought today was a great opportunity to talk about where we may see Australia in 10 years' time, because in 10 years' time we will be handing over challenges to you as future policymakers, and you'll be inheriting the problems that we couldn't fix. So if you can see them now, it's probably a good chance to give us a head start to focus on what matters to you. So first of all, just if I could introduce the schools of my elected Malcolm to you, but a warm round of applause to everyone for Malcolm who's made the time to catch up today. Just say your name and where you're from.
Hi guys, I'm Hon MP I'm from Redlands College. Phoenix, I'm from Redland City High School. So that's
This township right here.
Excellent. All right, well let me say it's really great to be here with Andrew. He's a very good friend, makes an enormous contribution to the party, to the parliament and to the government. So Andrew, it's always great to be here with you. I'm the Minister for Communications, and so the biggest responsibilities in my portfolio are, in no particular order, the National Broadband Network, which is a big infrastructure project. It had a lot of problems when we got into government. It basically was a failed or failing project. I'm also responsible for the post office. The letters business of Australia Post is losing more and more money because it's a high fixed cost business. You know, it doesn't matter whether there's 500 or 50 letters in the postage bag, he's still got to go out on his bike or whatever, his van, to deliver it. So that's been losing a lot of money, so we're making some big changes to the postal service, which is basically increasing the price of stamps and changing the delivery schedule so that most letters will arrive later. That's been difficult, but the alternative was Australia Post going broke. My portfolio are the public broadcasters, the ABC and SBS. There's a gentleman and there's from the ABC. They're doing something, a story about Andrew. And while we don't, the government doesn't control the ABC or SBS, nor should we. We are obviously responsible for funding them, and with exciting new thing we've got underway, which is very relevant to your futures, is the establishment of the Digital Transformation Office. This is what the aim of that is, to make all of government engage with citizens and with businesses digitally on digital platforms like smartphones, computers, etc. In the same easy way that, in other words, to move the interaction of government services up into the 21st century. Sitting on an office chair with his paws on the keyboard of a computer. And there is another dog on the floor, looking up at the dog on the keyboard. And the dog, with his paws on the keyboard, says to the other dog, on the internet, nobody knows you're a dog. Now, the problem is that people think that they're anonymous online, but they're not. I'm sure you all know that, don't put dumb things on Facebook or anything like that. Tom was talking about a 9-year-old brother being exposed to
like language on the internet,
just bad language and
stuff that is on general television as well. And the more exposure he has from this, I feel like he gets used to it, and he shouldn't be used to something like bad language.
The standard is slipping is perhaps because we're being influenced more, we're seeing more of the inappropriate stuff every day, that it kind of seems more natural. So then, as opposed to what an R would have been, we now think of an MA because we see it every day. Like whether maybe not that severe, but if you go and you watch something on TV, it's just so readily available that you just happen to see it and it just continues and escalates from there.
Just with exposure, I feel like sometimes it happens without you even like wanting it to happen. Like you'll get ads
pop up and they're inappropriate and you didn't do anything, they just pop up.
Yeah,
And then you're exposed to things when you don't want to be.
yeah.
Because I kind of feel like our technology is sort of like, I guess, desensitizing us, and it's going to be really bad in our future. Because I know when I was little, I spent hours and hours playing games, but there were games like educational and how to spell, blah blah blah. And then today it's more like, we got 9-year-olds playing Grand Theft Auto and everything. And then I know, I haven't played it, but I know in that game they're basically like people being paid to shoot women for their choices and everything like that. And then people are just going to get so used to it. And I know there's been studies saying how the more violent games people play, the more aggressive they get.
Best advice I can give you is there's no point. It's like arguing with angry drunk people on a Saturday night. It's pointless.
I don't know about that.
You don't know about that. Well, the others
Yes, I
know.
do, because I sit on TV.
Yeah. You don't get into arguments with trolls. It's crazy. Someone said, I think it was The Onion, which is a satirical newspaper, said, who needs the FBI now that we've got Facebook? And it's pretty true.
Contentious issue considering Sunday was International Women's Day. But considering Australia has a rate of women representation in government just above that of like Afghanistan, what exactly is the government doing to try and encourage women representing themselves and closing the pay gap that has been widening over the past 10 years?
Well, if I can answer the thing about, I'll say something about representation, you say something about the pay gap. How's that? Because I was asked about this question earlier today. Yeah, I'll take the hard one. I think the bottom line is that you need, that not enough women stand for Parliament. Speaking for our own political party, the Liberal Party, there are a lot of women members in the Liberal Party, and it's open to anyone to join, male or female. There's no preference towards men joining or being influential, and there are a lot of, there are and have been a lot of prominent women in politics. I think it'd be good if there were more. I'd certainly welcome that. But I think the answer is very much in the hands of women to actually, get involved, nominate, stand, get elected. What about the pay gap? The pay gap's getting worse.
Sneak out of the heart. Well, obviously, under legislation, you can't pay someone a different amount according to gender. So when we're talking about a pay gap, you're talking about a disproportionate amount of women doing poverty line and entry-level work, and a disproportionately low number of women ending up, for whatever reason, in high-paying jobs. So this is our challenge from medicine now, where we're getting close to 50% female graduate levels. In university education, we now have as many, if not more, females graduating from universities nationwide as men. All of the positions are there to address or close this gap. But ultimately, interruptions due to childbirth are almost unavoidable problems because everyone else stays and moves up in the system. But often the mum comes back and has to retake the job that she was given, and no one's prepared to give her the job she would have had she not left to have children. This is the one I think we can't get over.
So there was a guy that worked for me who was a really extreme case of this. He was always in the office till 2 a.m. and he never went home. And then he got married, and then his wife had a baby, and he was still doing the same thing. And so I was horrified by this. So I hauled him in and I sat him down and I gave him a lecture about having a balanced life, being home with his child, supporting his wife, and leading a normal family life. And I could see that he was looking at me and thinking, who is this old guy giving me this stupid lecture? I was not getting through it all. So now this is a very important point for you, Hannah, and your debating team. So I thought, I am going to win this argument with this guy. I'm going to get him to change his behaviour. So I said, why are you in investment banking? And he said, it's because I want to help people. And I said, oh really? So, you got knocked back by the Red Cross, did you, and joined Goldman Sachs. So finally we established that he was actually working at this bank because he wanted to make a lot of money. And I said, well, that's all right, that's fine, that's good, make a lot of money, pay your taxes, that's good. But I said, you know what you're doing? I said, you're going to keep on the way you are you're going to work, you will make a lot of money, and you'll keep on neglecting your wife and your children. Your wife will become lonely and alienated, angry, and then you know what will happen? She'll divorce you, and she'll get most of all of that money you owe. And he sat back in this chair as though he had been electrocuted. And he said, I never thought about it like that. I thought, what a horrible individual you are. Anyway, that changed his behaviour. It just gave him a job. So the point is, Hannah, when you're a debater, when you're an advocate, sometimes you've got to find the argument that's going to work with the audience you're trying to project to.